Hello everyone, welcome back to the Rangers Review. It's your post-match reaction show. It ends Motherwell 1, Rangers 1 as Rangers kick off their 25-26 season with a draw. Russell Martins took the lead through James Tavernier, were pegged back late on, and you've got to say it was deserved. Myself and Chris Jack here for the next 30-40 minutes or so. We're going to get into all your talking points, Chris's view from the game, my view from home, so do get your comments in and we will get to a lot of them. Chris, Big Mike says, let's have a look at the XG tonight, lads. We'll get straight into that. Rangers were quite lucky, and we'll get into the first half, second half, but I think certainly at the end, got the numbers here, and this actually cut off just before the late chance for Motherwell. Name escapes me of whoever it fell to. I think Motherwell's XG actually rose to about 2.2 to Rangers 0.7. Your view from Fir Park, my view from home was that, yeah, as I say, if any team deserved to win that, I don't think it was the visitors.
No, it was really poor stuff. Second half especially. First half now, myself and Blair spoke at half time. Rangers get off to a decent start, a couple of chances, get the goal through James Tavernier, and you think that's them off and running. Never looked like building on it. Never did enough. Didn't create enough. Didn't look dangerous enough. And Motherwell had spells in that first half. We thought, no, they can cause Rangers problems here. Second half, there's only one team in it. There's only one team that looked like scoring the second goal of the game. A really difficult afternoon for Russell Martin. Now, I'm sure the next half hour or so we'll try and provide a bit of context to it. We'll try and we'll make the point that yes, it's early, yes, it's a new team, yes, there's reinforcements to come. All of those points, I'm sure Russell Martin will make similar ones in his press conference that players are way into just now. But while all of that is true, you still need to be coming to Fir Park and picking up 3 points. You still need to, you need results to come at the same time. Now, while you're trying to implement a style of play and you're trying to rebuild the squad, all of those things are mitigating factors. All of those things come into the equation. But while that's all in play, you need to be picking up results. You need to come to places like this and just get the job done and just get the 3 points and move on to the next one. So as good as they were over the two legs against Panathinaikos in stages, again, far from perfect, they did well to get that result. They showed a bit of character, showed a bit of spirit, showed what they're trying to do. This was one that we'll see the fans ask a lot of questions, and it's a result and a performance that Russell Martin does not need given the situation that he's in.
Yeah, let's get to some comments. We're going to try and, as you say, add some context to it, see how our views maybe differ, Chris, or align. We'll get to it, but we'll start with some comments. Roddy Fraser, not happy, says can't defend. Tavendil messing about in defence. Dave says manager said he wants to dominate games. Well, that's the first 3 games down, and you haven't dominated any of them. Derek says Giga was decent, the rest were poor. Head keeper, substitutions killed our play. Motherwell players found space to collect it and run with the ball. We didn't. Haggis Killer, not happy either, says that was a brutal watch. Motherwell knew what we were going to do from every restart and trapped the free man. Too many stupid passes and no penetration in Rangers play. And Paul saying can't understand some of the changes made in that second half while scraping to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Chris, I'll give you my view from the game and you can give me yours and tell me where you think I'm wrong. I think the substitutions is a great point that a lot of people have raised, especially changing that midfield 3. Rangers looked leggy. They looked like a team who had played 2 tiring games, but also played in that Athens heat and got back in the small hours. I think 4 o'clock in the morning landed on Thursday. And I don't think the substitutions had a good impact on the game. My view overall from that 90 minutes is the way that Russell Martin wants Rangers to play, and I think you could see it in the first half, and I know come full time there'll be a lot of anger that Rangers haven't won and the second half was really poor, so that mitigates some of it. But I think you could see in how they're trying to play, what they're trying to do, it's high risk. And they got themselves into a lot of positions in the first half where I think the biggest issue they probably had was they didn't lose the ball in the build-up as much in the first half, but when they got into the final third, I thought Motherwell were actually the more incisive team. They looked like they had a bit more idea of your final passes. They were a bit more balanced. And I think the way Martin wants to play, if you don't capitalise on the upside, The downside is you've got a lot of players up the pitch. You're playing a high line. You're leaving a lot of space, and then you can concede quite a lot in the other direction. Now, I'll go on early and say it's the first game of the season. This Rangers squad is still quite a while away from being completed, and I'm not panicking after watching that one game. But I think you see the kind of high wire walk between risk and reward in Martin's style of play in that game. And Motherwell looked much better in the second half. Give me your reaction.
Well, I have to agree. As I said in the intro bit there, you can bring all these different factors into it. Some games the result matters more than the performance. The result always matters more than the performance, but sometimes you're looking at aspects of how the team's set up, and you're looking for things. This is what they're trying to do. It's fine having this philosophy and having these principles, but as have we seen enough in those? I think in the first 3 games we've seen what Rangers are trying to do, and we spoke pre-match about the fans needing to have a bit of patience and a bit of understanding to earn that right, to earn that patience, to earn that understanding. You have to still be able to pick up results. I think you saw large spells, certainly second half. Rangers has been too easy to play against. I don't mind the football being high risk. I don't mind Russell Martin trying to really kind of overhaul the way that this team plays, because how many times did we do these videos last season and we spoke about Rangers being slow, being sluggish, being pedestrian, having no identity, having no control. He's trying to put all that into this team, trying to do it in a very quick, short time scale with a squad that's developing and evolving on a weekly basis. I don't mind what he's trying to do. I quite like what he's trying to do, but I fully understand that other people won't. They will say, "Why is it not? Why is it not a bit more solid? Why is it not a big man, little man up front? Why is it not a bit more old school?" I fully understand why people will say all that. I do like what he's trying to do. I think it could work. It could be successful. But as I said right at the top of the show, it's just that it's a result and a performance that he just didn't need. He needs people to go with him and to come with him on that journey. And days like this, they're not going to get people to come on that journey. So really interested to see how he calls it. And looking down, I can see Russell doing his RTV stuff just now. He'll also come up and do a press conference as well. So really interested to see how he calls it and how he saw it, because that cannot be what he really wants it to look like. Because if that is what he really wants it to look like, it's not going to be successful this season.
Yeah, I think he's spoken to Sky Sports, so we'll try and get some reaction for you as quickly as possible. We've got Blair at the press conference, so we'll have full coverage from that press conference and bring you as soon as we can. I agree. I think it just felt like there was at the end of the first half, I think it was probably Rangers' best period, where they controlled the game, and from that point on, I don't think they really had any control whatsoever, did they? And Motherwell kind of came out quicker, and then from that point on, Rangers were never able to really recover. I mean, in terms of players who played well, I think Giga was good, Chris. Aside from that, obviously Rangers took the lead from a corner through James Tavernier. Strange to see him attacking the ball instead of whipping it in. Thought Kieran Dill was okay. Thought Jeji Gassama was pretty quiet after a good first opening 20 minutes. Anyone else kind of stand out in terms of either impressive or maybe more likely today, on the other hand? Too quiet and not really taking the opportunity?
I think a number of them you can say are too quiet. Like you, I thought Giga was good. I thought John Souttar made a couple of good blocks. Certainly the one in the second half was a really, really good block. I thought he was too slow on the ball at times. We've discussed the Max Aarons left back situation. It's clear that that's an area that Rangers have to strengthen and that they have to do some business in. So there's nothing really to add to that, because this was just 90 minutes that really confirmed what we've been saying and reporting all along. Final third is an issue. Striker is an issue. I wasn't as critical of Danilo after Panathinaikos Ibrox as some people were. I thought he just didn't get the service. It was one of those nights he wasn't really given the tools. Since then, he's played a number of minutes, hasn't really brought a lot to the party. Dessers comes on, we know hold up, not overly the strongest part of his game. I thought it didn't really stick. You're looking for the attacking reinforcements, Mikey Moore, Antman, as we spoke about pre-match. They need to make a real difference because Rangers final third, it's just not, there's not enough there. That has to improve now. Again, as now we spoke at the top about adding a bit of context to it. When you're trying to develop that style of play, certainly in an attacking sense, it is going to take time. That you can't just overhaul that style in 5-6 weeks. But you have to hope that an injection of quality, those wingers that we've referenced there, certainly a number 9. I say it's an afternoon that I think shows just where this squad is, but certainly shows how far away it is from where Russell Martin needs it and wants it to be.
Yeah, a text from a friend of the show, Derek Clark, who says, Russell Martin says Rangers lucky to come away with a point. Today wasn't a tactical issue, it was a mentality issue. Interesting on Sky, and a comment, if I can find it from here, Bluebells or Blue Martin's Sky interview was fairly brutal, mentioned 2 players, not by name. I think it was more like 4 or 5 players. So Russell Martin, yeah, I mean, how many new signings in the starting 11 today, Chris? Let's think. Giga, Aarons, Gassama. That's it?
4.
Who's the other one?
Joe Rodwell.
Joe Rodwell. By the end of the transfer window, I think you probably want Russell Martin. We want that total to be up to 8 or 9. So maybe there's some mitigation for him there. I want to ask you, we're going to get on to Oliver Antman and kind of a little bit more context and an update to what you reported on earlier. And I want to talk about the attacking positions. But I want to talk about Nico Raskin, Chris. I think in many ways, he's Rangers' best player by a country mile last season. We spoke about him a lot. I think he's a brilliant player, broke into the Belgian national team. I thought he looked uncomfortable today, and I think he has in that left number 8 spot quite a lot. It's not that he's not had good impacts or maybe good halves, involved in a couple of the goals in the Panathinaikos games. But for example, if you're looking at players that Martin needs to make this system work, I think the positions that he picked up are the positions you want someone like Tello Ascard picking up. And probably similarly, I don't think Dowell had his worst game in a Rangers shirt. The times he was running in behind, you want maybe an Antman or a Mikey Moore running in behind, because I felt with Raskin, to throw it back to you, too often he got into these pretty good attacking areas in the first half, but maybe just didn't. It was either trapped in his left foot. We've spoken about that left side being an issue, haven't we, without Rangers having real left footers on that side whatsoever. But yeah, I just wonder what you made of his performance and maybe what that represents in that number 8 position.
And just before we get into that, a couple of quotes there that have come through from Russell's Sky interview. You mentioned a wee bit there. He says that Rangers were lucky to get a point, nowhere near where we needed to be. Motherwell were braver and more aggressive than us. He also said we got what we deserved. There will be people left behind. If they don't want to come, they don't want to come. And I'm more angry than surprised. So by the sounds of it, he's not. No, and I think he will get a bit of kudos, if you like, from the fans for being that open, being that straightforward. Again, I mentioned some of the games that we did these videos after last season, and he went into the press conference, and Philippe Clement called a very different 90 minutes than the one that we had just watched and just discussed, and that got him nowhere. That's not going to win you over. You can't fool the Rangers fans. You can try and convince them, you can try and bring them with you, as I said. You can't fool them. They know this club, this team, Scottish football better than anyone. So I think the fact that the manager does seem to have been as forthright in his interviews, I'm assuming he will be in the press as well. I think that's definitely a good thing. In terms of Nico Raskin, I think he could be one of the most high-profile casualties of this new era. I think you mentioned him being very impressive in those final weeks and months of last season. Added goals to his game. He really looked a more complete and more all-round midfielder. I think the time under Barrie Ferguson certainly helped him. That role doesn't look to be getting the best out of him. And when Asgard is fit, I think it's fairly clear where he comes into the squad. It's not taking Diamandi's place. It's coming in to provide a bit of balance on that side. you made the point on your socials in midweek about the number of right-footed against left-footed players. The whole team looks a bit unbalanced right now. Now that it can be solved once Aarons comes out and a left back comes in. That obviously takes one out and adds another one in. That Raskin role, Asgard coming in, I think Rangers, they feel and they look a bit unbalanced right now, and it's not quite working. It's not quite clicking. I really like Nico Raskin as a midfielder. I really like him as a guy. He's been great to deal with over his Rangers career. I think he can still be a really good Rangers midfielder, but as I said there, is he going to be a high profile casualty of this? Because is his game just going to suit, and is his game going to be what Russell Martin needs it to be?
Yeah.
Is he going to get the game time that he wants and needs when Asgard comes in and whatever that's going to be, and he actually gets fit and he actually gets going? There's going to be a lot of pressure on Asgard. He's going to play that. He's going to play that role. Does Raskin then drop back in and take the Rodwell role? Probably not. I'm being fairly impressed with what I've seen with Rodwell so far overall. So it's perhaps hard to see where Nico Raskin fits in and becomes a mainstay of this midfield in the manner that he was last year.
Yeah, I thought Rothwell tired today, didn't he? You know, he's
understandable. So given
understandable, yeah. Yes, we're 5-6 weeks into pre-season, and this is a difficulty, isn't it? That these games, well, I guess this is the start of the league season, but you've played 2 qualifiers, which have maybe taken out a lot of him. But with that said, I think understandable criticism of the substitutions and the performance, because as Russell Martin has said to Sky, and we'll hear from him in a moment in the press conference, that's far, far away from any sort of winning Rangers team. You mentioned there that balance. I think that's spot on, because I spoke about it a bit at pre-match. We've spoken about it this week. The team's not balanced, and that's why Rangers want Antman and are, as we again have reported earlier today, have had that bid accepted. Someone to give you more natural width on the right hand side, someone to stretch the game. It's why they need a solution at left back, because Max Aarons is doing his utmost there, but there's quite a few occasions where I thought you just needed a left foot to escape the press or play forward, because to flag a comment that someone has put in here, Chris, again, if I can find it, far too many wanting to look backwards when receiving the ball, 2 wide men that weren't willing to run at their full back. It was too, again, after maybe 15-20 minutes where there was some nice passages of play, it was too safe and too backwards. I think that helped Motherwell press, because they could jump onto everything as opposed to going in the other direction. A lot of questions about why Raskin and Diomande are playing on their wrong side, and I think that's so that they can receive the ball wide and drive in field. Don't think Diomande had a great game, but my question would be, if you put Asgard in that first half and you put Antman in that first half, how much more natural do the Rangers look? Probably a lot more. But as you say, you need to win to get time here to build stuff, and that's why seeing off Panathinaikos was important, and today will attract such criticism. Chris, let's get to some comments before we move on. Hates Gary saying Raskin is a 6, not an 8. Darren says Motherwell outplayed us. Le Butler says the same. Motherwell played our style better than us. Jack, the lad. Russell Martin will take flack, but let's be honest, this is the players. It's been the same players for years, failing the same way year after year. Macario, my simple analysis is this: pressing needs to involve tackling. If I was to ask you, Chris, at the end of the transfer window, how many of today's starting 11 will be in Russell Martin's strongest starting 11? If you're Russell Martin sitting tonight, how many do you think are required after Antman? Because yesterday's press conference, Russell Martin didn't seem to suggest that Rangers were going to stop now or slow down, and that's still a squad that requires quite a lot of work, isn't it?
Just as you're speaking there, the people who are undertaking that work are having a debrief on the Fir Park touchline. Russell had just come out of his press conference, joined by Matt Gill, and he's having a chat with Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart as we speak. Would love to be a fly in the wall on that particular conversation, just to see what they made of it. I don't think it won't change their strategy in terms of how this squad has to be built. They will have been fully aware at the start of the window what needed to be done. I don't think there's anyone in the squad that has caught the eye to the extent of it's been a huge surprise. So they would have known the handful as we've discussed and as we've written, as we've spoken about, there's certain guys within the squad who can clearly go, the likes of Ben Davies, likes of Ridvan, likes of Avi Matondo. They've also moved on Robin Propper, they've moved on Ross McCausland. Those deals were the obvious ones. There was a middle ground of players for me, likes of Bayrami, likes of Cortez, even likes of Jefty, perhaps, likes of Jack Butland, perhaps, who are in that kind of middle ground of you don't have to throw them out the door, but if offers came in and you thought that you could do business to improve on them, then you would do. And there's then obviously your big talents, your likes of Raskin, likes of Antman, your big ticket items, likes of Diomande, the guys that, unless the money's big, you don't really want to sell them and move them on. How many of that group are nailed on? I still don't think there's that many of them. I still think there's a lot of work to do. In an ideal world, you're looking at Giga, you're looking at Gassama, Diomande, Rodwell, Aaron's probably playing right back rather than left back. That's not an awful lot. So I think there's still questions over Jack Butland's long term at this club. Tavernier, he's going to be part of the squad. Is he going to play every week? Probably not. Suter, I think a left centre half is one of the other areas that really needs addressing alongside a left back. Rodwell's going to play, Diomande's going to play, Kieran Dill's not, Gassama is, Giga is, Raskin we've discussed, and Danilo's not. He's not going to be the guy that you can say that's my number 9. So even just a quick run through there, still usually half a team to go and find, and that's why I think pre-match and in the 22 minutes or so we've had, fully understand everyone's anger and frustration and disappointment and jumping to conclusions slightly, but you have to be aware of the situation that Rangers are in. It is a big rebuild. It is a 15 out, 15 in job. Can that be done in one summer? Probably not. And that's why people have to be really aware of the situation and really be aware of what Russell Martin walked into and what he inherited. It wasn't an awful lot, and there wasn't an awful lot to build on there. So a lot of work still to be done. It's the timescales. When can that be done? When will this be a team that Russell Martin can say, this is my squad, this is my team, this is how I want it to look? He really needs it to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. A few more comments we'll get to. We love a variety of comments in the Rangers review, Chris, and here's two back-to-back that are really different. Jack says, why are we blaming a manager who has been here 6 weeks and not the players who have got every manager since Gerrard the sack? But Paul says, and I think it's a fair point, the Motherwell manager had the same time with his players to totally change their style, and they looked like they knew what they were doing. Callum saying, I've already had people saying it takes time. Unfortunately, we don't have time. It's now or never. How much, what's the phrase I'm looking for, Chris? Leeway. That's the one. Leeway. How much leeway do you give Russell Martin and his squad because of midweek? I mean, you were there. It was warm. I'm sure you're still tired from it. But to what extent do we take that into consideration? Because I guess you could say the fact that Martin, I think, chose the same team shows what he thinks of his squad, and it shows that he thinks Connor Barron isn't close to replicating, for example, Joe Rothwell, or Lyle Cameron isn't quite ready yet. I thought Nadeem Barami created a good couple of chances late on, maybe should have been a little bit more incisive with the first one. But yeah, how much leeway do you give him? And then similarly, is he putting into kind of practice his thoughts with his team selection by not making sweeping changes for today?
I think the selection in all 3 games shows that the squad's just not there. You think back to Bruges and Middlesbrough more pointedly, made real changes for Middlesbrough, and Rangers slunk Ibrox out for that first half. It was only when the reinforcements arrived 60 odd minutes in that they looked anywhere near being ready for the start of the season. There's a number of players in that squad who are just squad players. They're the guys who you hope can come in and do a job. They're not guys that you can hang your hat on, and guys you can say they are like for like. So if you take Rodwell out and you put Connor Barron in and not really notice a drop off, I don't think so. Can you put Bayrami in, not notice a drop off? Don't think so. Danilo, not at the same level as Agaman, not even at the same level as Dessers, and Dessers so far this season, that's not a very high level at all. And that's why we keep making the point, you're not just building a team, you have to build a squad. It's a squad that's going to win this league, or a squad that's going to challenge for this league, not just 11 players, and the squad is not there. So someone make the point there saying Rangers spent enough money, they should be able to beat Motherwell. Of course they have. No, we're not trying to say it's okay that Rangers have come here today and failed to beat Motherwell. It's not. No, it's never going to be okay. You cannot afford to drop points like this. You cannot afford to have performances like that. We're not trying to excuse it or justify it or say, well, it's okay. Everything will be okay tomorrow. I think I've just like provide a bit of nuance and a bit of understanding on why it is where it is without excusing it, because you can't excuse it. Rangers have more than enough talent, have more than enough players, spent more than enough money to win games like this, and the fact that they haven't, that's why you then see the reaction that we're seeing. I say it's a completely understandable one, because first game again, think back to Tynecastle, think back to Rugby Park, same mistakes, the same feeling of deflation, same feeling of anger and upset, same feeling of people thinking it's the same old, and the only way that it won't be that as if the manager is given the time and given the tools to go and try and change that. Otherwise, Rangers will be in the same situation that they've been ad nauseum over recent seasons.
Yeah, a few more comments we'll get to before we finish up. Jason saying, I'm sorry, but the squad isn't there. I get that. But Jeffy is more than capable of playing against Motherwell. He showed it last season. So why are we playing a right back at left back and Dowell on the wing? And Colin Cooper saying Russell Martin messed up by bringing off Rothwell and Raskin. And I think that's where maybe a bit of criticism is due as well, Chris, is should the likes of, could you have had Jeffy start today and provide a little bit more freshness? Maybe you don't start one of your first choice midfield three and Raskin or Rothwell helps you to see the game out. All hypotheticals now. Rangers dropping points on the first day of the season. Chris, they don't have much time. It's a quick turnaround until, is it Tuesday is the first leg against Pilton? Russell Martin is a busy August, and Rangers need to get some players, and one of those players is Oliver Antman. Just bring us up to speed if people weren't watching pre-match with what we reported this afternoon regarding that situation.
Just on the team selection and the subs there, I don't disagree that the subs had a negative impact. No, they did not have the impact that the manager needed them or wanted them to. But if we'd been sitting 3 hours or so ago and it had been Barron starting or Cameron starting, you know what the questions would have been, you know what the comments would have been of where's Rothwell? Why can't he get through 90 minutes today, having come through Athens? He's almost damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Rangers see the game out, these questions about the subs I don't think are as pertinent, but of course they are pertinent now because of the result and because of how things unfolded. As you outlined there, it's a short turnaround. By the time Rangers take the field on Tuesday night, there's every chance they will have another new addition in the squad, or maybe even two actually. They're pushing as hard as they can to get Mikey Moore the international clearance that he needs and get him in a European squad. So that's obviously out with their capabilities, out with their control. They're trying their best to make that happen. On Oliver Antman, again, as we reported 4 or 5 hours or so ago, Rangers really confident of getting that deal over the line, and for him to become a Rangers player. Deal around about £3 million has been agreed with Go Ahead Eagles, and all going well, he will be a Rangers player in the coming days. So he will, again, as we discussed on the pre-match show, he will add to an area of the team that needs an injection of quality. He will add to a forward line that needs goals and assists. You've had a couple of pieces on Antman over the last few days, looking at what he can bring. And I think anyone who has watched the shows and who's read your analysis of him as a player, you can't say he's not what Rangers need right now. You can see how he will fit into this side and what he will bring to this side.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly, I'll bring this up, Chris. So if people want to not think about the game today and think instead about new signings, which always helps. This is just as Antman's key passes and assists from last season in the Eredivisie, and we'll have more on the website tomorrow about him as a player. Just the one thing to kind of flag, Rangers need they need a range of profiles out wide. And if you look at that, see the kind of cluster towards the bottom right side of the box, red is assists. They had 16 assists, I think, in the league, and blue is key passes that created shots. That's what I think Rangers need. They need someone to stretch the game. It was so narrow today, so chopped back, quite often in front of Motherwell. I think they need someone to run in behind, which creates space and pushes the game back towards the Motherwell goal. I think they need someone who's a specialist in creating chances, because Gassama and Moore, maybe Gassama's more of a goal scorer, I think you can see, and Moore, again, will probably be more comfortable from the right-hand side, but will drift in field more. Antman is someone who should give Rangers a bit more of a sustained wide threat and balance on the right. But yeah, more to come on the website of that tomorrow. That's just a sneak peek. Chris, before we go, we're going to hear from Russell Martin. We've got a clip from his press conference, which people will be able to watch shortly on the YouTube channel and read every word as well on the website. Let's hear what Russell Martin had to say, a section of that in his press conference moments ago at Fir Park.
I'm very disappointed and a bit hurt and a bit angry at a lot of stuff I saw. So Motherwell were really good, credit to them. But I said to the players in there, it's not like the problems haven't been tactical yet, really. They've been mentality, about energy, about courage, intensity, aggression to play, that we haven't started games well enough in the first half in the 2 European games, and then showed a bit more willingness to trust the detail in each other and work. And then today we go ahead and we're playing some okay stuff. Every time we get in the final third, we turn the ball over and lose and make crazy decisions. So they're either selfish decisions or they're based on anxiety. So we need to get to the bottom of that, because there was far too much like stuff that we haven't worked on or haven't seen. So when we do what we worked on and we don't come through, then that's on us as a coaching staff and a group. But when the problems are, and I've said it to the players, it's no different to what I've said to you. It's not me digging them out and I take full responsibility for it, but that hurts me more than anything. The problem should be tactical, it shouldn't be mentality. So
there you go, Chris. The problems are mentality, Russell Martin says. Again, just before we finish off, you can understand there. I mean, I agree with you. This is the first game of someone trying to do something radically different with a squad that's not quite there. On the other hand, you can understand when fans watch stuff like that and think we've heard that before, issues about mentality, it's not tactical, regardless if it's a new man in the dugout. And it sounds like you'll have some maybe some home truths to say to the squad, but I guess as we've come back to right through this video, the ultimate action will be in just how many additions Rangers now make between now and the end of this month.
I think that mentality point will be one that he should be really hammering home to the players, because it's only 3-4 days since I sat in that press conference post Athens or post Panathinaikos, and he spoke about what that result and that performance and coming through that tie could do for these players as a collective, as taking a bit of belief in what he's trying to do, a bit of belief in themselves, a bit of bonding, a bit of camaraderie, all those good things. We spoke about that the other night there, and we've spoken about that since. For it to go from a big result and a big performance and what felt like a big moment to then go from that just a few days later, that's a real concern, and that's something that Russell, as he says there, has to get to the bottom of really quickly. Ultimately, this squad is not good enough right now. It's not good enough. Will Russell Martin be good enough as a Rangers manager? Time will tell. Does he have the right tools to fully judge him as a Rangers manager right now? I don't think so. I say the quality is just not there in enough areas. And as you said in your question there, so much will be decided on what can Rangers do in these coming weeks. If Moore and Antman get up to speed, that's a positive. For me, Rangers still short a left centre half, a left back, and a striker, and that's just starters. 10-15 minutes ago we spoke about squad options. They're still short of squad options as well. They're short of guys who can raise the overall level, who can raise the overall quality of the group. Time will tell what they're able to do in that regard, and what this squad will look like.
Yeah, indeed. Well, listen, we'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone for watching. If you are watching and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. It really helps us, and it's totally free. We'll have more coverage, of course, coming for you tomorrow and right into next week across the Rangers reviews. Stick with us to hear from Russell Martin too, from his press conference at Fir Park shortly on the website and YouTube channel. But until then, thank you for watching. We'll speak to you on Monday morning, and goodbye for